may not have been paying enough attention to the warning that has been marked out in anticipation of a time of confusion such as this. The true Christ himself. And he has done so patiently and powerfully. In Matthew chapter 24, verses 3, 15, 24, and 37. It was a normal day among others. As usual, the master had secluded in the solitude of the mountains, this time on the Mount of Olives, when disembarking, his disciples asked him straight out, "Master, what will the sign of your coming?" Matthew 24, verse 3. Without backing down, instead of running away, the true Christ announced to them three prophecies, three distinctive and concomitant facts that were to characterize the weather for his second coming, his advent. But before we give you the revelation of these three prophecies, may we be allowed to emphasize beforehand that these three prophecies cannot concern the first coming of Jesus Christ, the true one, since he was then himself personally on earth at the time when he addressed the answer to the question his disciples had just asked him about what would characterize his second return. So much so the context exclusive, specific, inexorable, undeniable of the three prophecies we are about to unveil only concerns the second coming of the Son of Man, only his return, and by no means his first coming. Once this precondition established, the question is this: what are these three prophecies, these distinctive facts that will characterize the return of the end times, glorious, hoped for, and expected of the true Christ? Let's start with the first. First, let's focus on verse 37 of Matthew 24. Matthew 24, 37. Concerning Noah says the following, and I quote, "It will happen at the coming of the Son of Man." What happened in Noah's time? So the question that arises, and which we all have to answer, is what happened in the days of Noah? What happened in Noah's time is that women consorted with rebellious spirits and gave birth to monstrous giants, humanoid, hybrids, the rest, everything else. What happened in Noah's time is simply a symptom, a consequence, that these consequences are the excesses of the party. Reported in the same Matthew 24, the flood, the shortening of the days of flesh on earth from 1,000 years to 120 years, or even the eradication of the human race. All these secondary facts are in no way a cause of God's wrath and the inconsolable manifestation of his sentence that followed in those days. The glaring parallel between what happened in Noah's time and our own time is that precisely, exactly as in Noah's time, from a woman and a spirit was born a being, a monster, hybrid, half woman and half spirit, and that this being was later named conveniently Jesus Christ. That this false Christ then substituted himself for the true Christ in order to prevent the triumphant return of the true Christ and to lead mankind astray, sowing confusion. Because of Christianity, its promoter, man dances in the open grave and mankind sings at the top of their voices in total recklessness with it too. All the excesses inherent in religion, bowing down and worshiping this false Jesus Christ, and through him his father Lucifer. That is the sad reality of what the true Christ wished to draw our attention. Paul, after the glorification of his master, confirmed to better warn, better equip those who are in good faith, so that they are in a comfortable position. With surgical precision in the prophecies he delivered, notably in 2 Thessalonians 2, which I recommend from verses 1 to 12, since they concern the coming of the Lord, and where Paul declares, Let no one seduce you in any way, for the apostasy must first have come, and the man of sin, the Son of God, must have appeared. The man of sin, the son of perdition, the adversary, who proclaims himself God and makes himself worshipped instead of God. To say the least, those who preach the return of Jesus, without telling us which Jesus they're talking about, and giving the impression that the one they speak of is susceptible to any return, whereas 2 Thessalonians 2, especially verse 8, says explicitly that he is doomed to the blast of destruction of the true one. These preachers did not take themselves seriously. Question what apostasy is. These promoters of this false Christ did not seriously ask themselves the question what the son of perdition is. The adversary, and not one adversary, although there are many, but this one is the chief of adversaries. Nor have they asked themselves what the man of sin is. The man of sin is not a man who sins, not a man who has sinned, not a man who has been guilty of grave and multiple sins. The man of sin is sin as such by his very being. Congenitally, intrinsically, consubstantially, it's his being. The fact of being hybrid, the fact of being partially carnal and partially spiritual, that is, of being neither God nor man, of being a kind of mixture, a detestable Macedonia. This is what the man of sin is.